Scums, welcome back. We're bringing you another episode in our series of position breakdowns heading into the season. Today, we've got a pretty interesting one for you guys. Going to be going over the receiver room and the secondary. Um, Shit's starting to get real. We're starting to get close now. What is it, 1 month from today on the dot as we're recording?
1 month, you know what I mean?
Yeah, data mean
Me?
we're 1 month away. But before we get into the episode, mailbag, all that stuff, as you guys all saw, Tyler and Noah were able to make it out to ACC Media Days last week. Pretty awesome stuff. They got some great content. Super proud of our boys. We're gonna let them talk about, some of the things that they saw and came across last week. Tyler, I'll let you go first. Talk about Media Days for us real quick.
Yeah, like first off, me and Noah were joking. Those of you that followed the pod since last year remember the time we almost got Jack Small on the pod, and within 5 minutes, Duke said no, and within 3 minutes of applying to media days, the ACC said yes. So that was
Growth.
kind of funny, but it was a fun experience. We were down there all 3 days. Um, the interactions we got to have. Make sure you checked out, our TikTok, Instagram, our YouTube, our Twitter. Like, we had videos up everywhere with all kinds of interviews, talking like different media members and getting some advice from guys like that, but also, getting to talk to even non-Duke, guys and, see kind of how the different standards and cultures are from how their interviews went. Yeah, like it was a blast. Of course, we got to talk, to Duke and see Manny and stuff. But yeah, overall, it was pretty fun. Noah, what do you think were probably some of the outside of Duke, maybe one or two like really big takeaways, whether it be like a team or
Yeah, first and foremost, just really cool to get to go. A little over a year ago, we all just wanted to have a podcast to be able to talk shit about Duke football, and we didn't know if anybody had listened to it or anything. So very cool that people do, and enough people interact and follow that we have enough of a crowd to get approved and things like that. So just a big thanks for that. First and foremost, we were there for the Blue Devils. That was a blast. Got to talk to Manny Diaz, as always. Talked to David Shoemate. Of course, all the media team members, Zach and the boys, my dogs.
Goats.
And then, of course, the likes of Darian Mensa, Wes Williams, Chan, and Brian Parker. Got a lot of really good content and interviews. That's kind of the first time we've been able to bring you guys stuff like that. It was very cool. I think that's definitely our niche. The guys, they were pretty amped up for the scumbags to be there. Not to toot our own horns, but Wes Williams was telling us that whenever he was up there on stage and doing the live questions, they panned over and called on me in the back, and I was, Noah Lunsford, GA Scumbags, and he said when he heard that, he said he perked up a bunch and was real amped up. So I thought that was super cool. And then, like Tyler was saying, getting to talk to some other teams and stuff like that. Biggest takeaway for me is like Justin Wilcox, the head coach at Cal, is just a superb human being. I think that program's got a bright future with him. And then, kind of the same vibe. And it's like the Manny Diaz vibe for Duke fans. I think that's what Justin Wilcox is giving Cal fans right now. And I could say the same for Brent Key at Georgia Tech. I think the vibes around those three programs as a whole are definitely trending in the right direction. And like Tyler was just saying, super cool, super fun, and we're looking forward to doing that for, years to come.
yeah. And one kind of Duke related thing, Mike Norvell was definitely preaching to keep his job at media day, and that's related because, as you know, when Norvell gets fired, Manny Diaz was going to take that job as the running joke here.
Mhm.
Um, but it was, and a lot of FSU fans spoke on that actually with us, and they were like, unless he just goes god awful 2-10 again, that buyout is just too high for anyone to try and poach because FSU did the same thing with Jimbo and let him run it into the drain before they could get rid of him. But yeah, it was Charlotte was fun. We got to vote for ACC standings and conference players of the year and all first teams. And hopefully, we don't know what the process is like. Hopefully, we'll be back next year, and under year two, we'll be able to crank out things in a little more in depth and better quality for you guys. But yeah, it was a blast.
And maybe next year I'll be able to make it out.
Yeah. Also, Zach Smith, check your DMs.
Zach, Check your DMs.
Zach, dude, come on.
Well, cool. On top of that, also like obviously as the third scum, not being able to be there, just super proud of these two guys and the content they were able to get. Really thankful that, they were able to pull it out for us and make me proud in my absence. Love some of the content we were able to get, some of the questions they were able to ask. Um, Gets me excited for football season, baby. 31 days away. Can't wait. So back to the meat and potatoes of this episode. We're going to be focusing on Duke's wide receiver room and Duke's secondary. Two, if you will, kind of polar opposites, kind of a yin and yang thing here, because while we have utmost confidence in the secondary with guys like Caleb Weaver, Chandler Rivers, Terry Moore, the receiver room is somewhat of a question mark. Now, that's not to say that we don't have any talent there, that we don't have any dogs, nothing like that. We just don't know what to expect. So diving into the wide receiver room, Tyler, wide receiver coach, Son Burden going into his fourth season with Duke, all four of those with the wide receivers. Take us through some of that, some of our key departures because we're losing some dogs this year going into this season.
Yeah, no room probably got hit harder than the receiver room, and the two big ones, of course, Jordan Moore, who is with the Cincinnati Bengals now. Um, you know, Original QB battle, by the way. Never forget his year with Riley Leonard. Almost Duke starting quarterback Jordan Moore. Ended his career at Duke with 177 receptions, over 2,300 yards, 21 touchdowns. I mean, just to have not been a wide receiver and to come into college and make that transition and put up the numbers he did while learning the position, just absurd.
At the D1 P4 level too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other guy, glad he finally got a season under his belt, fully healthy. Eli Pankow. He's with the Jaguars now. Actually, like the more it trends, he's looking extremely, extremely likely to make the 53-man roster in
Yeah.
Jacksonville this year.
He's
Yeah.
the Jaguars' oldest receiver on the roster.
Yeah. NFL veteran Eli Pankow, by the way.
God Almighty, we're
Uh,
huge Panko believers.
It's actually pretty funny, real quick. So I have a friend who's a big Jacksonville Jaguars fan. Yes, they exist. And she knows I'm a big Duke fan. And so yesterday she sent me this screenshot of this tweet that said like he caught a pass and had it stripped out of his hands in practice. And she said, "Tell your boy to like get his act together." And so I sent her the tweet that said how he burned Travis Hunter on a route and scored a touchdown on his head. And I said, "Tell your Heisman winner to not get beat and torched by an undrafted free agent."
By
And
little old Duke.
hey,
Little
she was
old
like,
Duke.
"Hey, fair enough, fair enough."
Probably the highlight of one of like the clips Eli has from games last year too is the Virginia Tech game,
Ugh.
and I believe it was Murphy's second
It
touchdown
was
to
the
Eli
second one,
Pankow.
yeah,
And
75 yards
you
something.
just hear me in the background just screaming Eli Pankow's name.
Eli
Just,
Pango, yeah.
ah!
Jarrett barking like a dog.
Ah,
Son of a-
But yeah,
what a night.
Eli. It. I'm glad he got a year under his belt finally. And it just really hurts to see how good of a year he had last year, and think about wow what he could have done the other years. He ended his Duke career 130 receptions, 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns. Both guys had 9 touchdowns last season, which speaks to like their capability to play together and still put up numbers like that. Um, we'll touch on in a second. Duke's bringing in some guys, but that's just it's hard to replicate losing those two guys and replace them in one off season. But I'll
Yeah,
let
what
you
was it?
guys kind of.
What's that line from Remember the Titans when Gary Bertier gets paralyzed and Coach Boone is like, "One does not replace a Gary Bertier." It's like one
Yeah,
does
Yeah,
not replace an Eli Panko and a Jordan Moore in one off season.
yeah, that's
TikTok legend Eli Finkel.
yep.
Yeah.
He's done irreversible damage to the youth at Duke football, though.
And
Some
see,
of them,
because like he earned it. Like Eli
yeah,
Panko had the right to be doing that. But
he
if
was
you
in.
haven't, if you're a redshirt sophomore and you haven't played a snap of football for Duke football, get in the hashtag lab and get off
See
of TikTok.
pussy.
Yeah.
Get in the
Oh
lab.
God.
Oh goodness.
Get
But
in the
yeah,
lab with Todd Polino.
speaking of trying to fill the voids, there's a couple main guys, really two that stand out more than the rest. Both transfers. First up, personally for me, Andrew Anthony. As you guys can see there on Eli's screen, Andrew T.O. Anthony. Um, Grad transfer, started his career at Michigan, won a national championship at Michigan. transferred to Oklahoma. Did not see much there due to injury, and then kind of not coming back towards the end of the year when a lot of people, I guess, thought he could come back. Total career has 47 receptions, 761 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That all pretty much came in one season at Michigan. So, those numbers kind of they're not as spread out as they might seem on paper. A lot of people at media days around the Duke group said that if all pans out and healthy season and a couple of the things kind of get shaped up, I think in the David Feely side of football, that he would be the most talented receiver to ever walk through Duke's locker room, and
Which
that
is
really
crazy because Duke is wide receiver you.
in our own minds we are for sure. Like nobody stat padded better than little old Duke. The likes of Connor Vernon, Jalen Calhoun, TJ
Ah, ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moore.
ACC legend Jalen Calhoun.
Yeah, notable, memorable people right there. But yeah, so there's a lot going on with him. Of course, we're hoping for the best as a guy like that would solve a lot of issues. I feel like that most people are wanting to be addressed in the receiver room. Not having a true wide receiver one like body type, somebody that's over 6 foot tall, got some weight on them, somebody that could go up and make more contested style catches because there's no argument we've got slot guys, but there is argument that we don't have guys for outside the numbers. And I know the next guy is someone Eli's real high on, hoping for a Connor Vernon renaissance, some might say. But go ahead, Eli.
It's a shame Samir Higgins already has number two because it would have been really fitting for this guy. A guy I've been pretty high on going into this season has been Cooper Barkate. I mean, this is a dude who was like getting ESPN nominations at Harvard last year. I mean, you know what kind of dog you have to have ESPN knowing who you are playing at Harvard? I mean, that's pretty special. And it's funny because we're talking about this guy, Cooper Barkate, like you said, grad transfer, 23 games at Harvard, 12 starts. 113 receptions, 1,742 yards, and 14 TDs. He was an FCS All-American, second team last season. It's like it's tough because our friend Bobby pointed out, and he's right. Those like Ivy League games, there's only like three cameras in the whole stadium. So you're not getting all the angles you'll get at like a Duke game. So like for instance, you'll get an angle of the guy throwing the ball, and then you'll get the angle of Cooper catching the ball, but you won't see his route running abilities because the camera hasn't panned that way yet. So it's like we don't know what his route running looks like, but you can imagine that being an FCS All-American, he's no slouch. Like we'll just say that. He knows he plays ball. Um, Nothing flashy, but he's extremely reliable with solid hands. And again, you always kind of worry about the jump from FCS to P4, but Duke has been seeing success there. You look at guys like Caleb Krings from Elon. Um, we'll look to him to be sort of
Krings.
the pride of Alamance County.
God.
Uh, yeah, right behind Macon Winslow. But expect him to be a safety blanket guy and like a go-to on third down, shorts and mediums. Think of it as almost like a Samir Hagens last year, right? Like we had last year behind Jordan Moore, Eli Pinnacle, we had Samir Hagens able to make some plays. This year behind guys like Samir, Anthony, Queso, look for Barkate to be kind of a slept on like sleeper pick to make some plays. Um, Following him, we have, and God, Lord, forgive me for mispronouncing this name,
Sounds right to
Keanu
me.
Johnson. We'll roll with it. Keanu Johnson. Tyler, tell us about Keanu.
Well, and real quick, I just want to touch on before we get to Keanu, talk about Andrell real quick. Duke fans, go ahead and get used to this. He's got personality.
Mm.
He's not your average Duke football player in the sense of it's cut and dry. You are probably going to see him throw a fit on the sideline a time or two. He's probably going to not look happy at all times.
Bring it.
That's what you get with really good wide receivers.
Bring it.
So old guard, Facebook, Anthony family, you probably don't want to be on Duke's Facebooks this year.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and warn you there.
Last year, like I said earlier, Tyler, Malik Murphy pushed them to the limit, and then Angelo Anthony is going to push them over the limit. If you catch my drift on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I don't think Duke fans are ready for that, but like it comes with the territory.
But the
Like you
young
want,
guard is ready for that. We're ready
yeah,
for that.
we've been asking for that. Like we want someone
Begging.
to, yeah, show some emotion for God's sakes. But yeah, just go ahead and get yourselves ready for that, Duke fans. But yeah, Keanu's a freshman coming in, wide receiver. He was the number 7 recruit in the state of Connecticut last year. He actually has a lot of track record returning kickoffs and punts. Uh, that could be something to watch. I know last year, Queso and Peyton Jones did majority of the work there, but as they see increased roles, maybe we slide him into that spot to take some pressure off of those guys. Um, he had over 90 catches and 20 touchdowns in his high school career. So I mean, here's the thing with the receiver room, right? I don't expect many freshmen to get a lot of cracks at it,
No.
but he could possibly be a guy to watch out for. Another one we've got coming in is Kayvon Simmons, another 3-star, number 25 ranked recruit in the state of North Carolina. He actually played quarterback as a sophomore and junior in high school.
Jomo
So
2.0.
yeah, like we've got another Jomo coming in there. I just, like, he doesn't have many stats about his receiving time in high school. He played quarterback for 2 years, but it's one of those things like that almost is going to make him a much better wide receiver because he's going to think how a quarterback thinks in those regards. And Eli, I know if you two want to touch on the last 2 freshmen before we hit on the guys coming back.
Yeah, the one I'm real high on is Javion Solomon out of Georgia. Big body guy. Had a decent numbers, you know. I mean, and by Duke standards for a receiver recruit, 2,300 yards and 23 touchdowns seems pretty good in 2 years. It's over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns a year. In Georgia high school football, that's rather impressive. If I'm not mistaken, he's down towards that Gainesville region, so in the toughest part of Georgia high school football. Definitely excited to see if he can develop into something for Duke over the coming years. But like Tyler was saying, not necessarily that we're picking some of these guys to come out and play 50% of the snaps.
No. You know what's funny? Noah is going into that. Remember back on one of our older episodes, you went on a rant about how Duke was the only P4 team to offer Grayson Loftus. You're
Yep.
like, Duke has been that way for the longest time. You're looking at some of this guy's offers, ECU, FAU, Memphis, Coastal, Arkansas State, Temple, Western Kentucky. Started ramping up a little bit though. He got offers from Kentucky, Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, ultimately ended up enrolling with Duke. Here's
Vandy
this.
mentioned.
Yeah, Vandy mentioned. Uh, not the punching bag of the SEC for long because apparently Carolina's going to be taking that spot in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
Um,
that's something.
Javon said also 6'1". So we have 2 guys in our receiver room who are over 6 feet tall now. We're getting there.
We
Uh,
should pray for times like this.
yeah. Last but not least, for freshmen, we have Jamian Little, 3-star receiver, number 12 out of North Carolina. Here's another guy who has some pretty good numbers.
Now
46.
here's a guy.
Now here's a guy, 146 receptions, 3,000 yards, 36 TDs. Return experience as well in the punt and kick return game, which we'll take as many special team studs as we can to offset the incompetence by our very own Gabe Infante. He comes in listed at 6'2", who's already a possible punt returner as a true freshman. So we'll see. We'll see. Remember that one time last year against UConn when they had Jomo return a punt?
We
While he
talked
was
about that at
injured,
media day.
yeah. While he was injured, by the way.
And I'm sitting there. I was on the devil's deck for the first half of that game, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, have they lost their fucking minds? Your best receiver in years, and you're having him return punts against UConn? What are
Yeah,
we
the
doing?
the special teams breakdown next week. There's definitely going to be some tangents had for sure about a few
Infante
things.
family, you will not want to tune in for this one.
God, his brother retweets a lot of our stuff too. But getting into some brighter pastures here. Well, maybe not bright, but guys we know will be on the field.
God damn it.
The receiver room, our returners. There's not a lot when you think about like how many most colleges return each year.
Yeah,
You're thinking probably return at least 8 guys. At least we didn't even get Bo Lilly back.
Rip.
So R.I.P. Bo Lilly. But I guess first up, we're just gonna skip over that first one there. But Chase Tyler, redshirt freshman. Nobody's got more stock. If you guys remember last year, you guys know the retirement is built on Chase Tyler stock. Four star.
Hashtag free me.
He was a top 10 athlete, number 29 player in Georgia. 4 games last year. Only have one reception. No, yeah, yet again, just nobody higher on us because the dude's like 6 foot, I think 3 or something like that, maybe 6'4", big cat. Got some good weight on him. He's an outside threat. Just young, last year was his first year on the field all season. My red, not being a red shirt. So looking forward to seeing what he can do. And, I think that's going to hopefully be one of those bright spots that we don't think about that actually comes to fruition.
Last but not least, I don't know why I'm saying that. Another returning guy, Jaden Moore, younger brother of the legendary Jordan Moore. I don't know how I feel about the fact that he's wearing number 8. I feel like that should kind of be in the rafters, but I guess hanging a jersey in the rafters would, it makes too much sense. So therefore, Duke football won't be doing it. Uh, Redshirt freshman, he tore his ACL in the spring game last year. Pretty insane stuff. It was like the first play too. Former three-star prospect, number 19 out of Maryland, brother of Jordan Moore, injured his leg last year. Expect him to spend most of the season continuing to bulk up because Tyler and I were talking earlier before we recorded the pod, and it's like he's still healing. He's still bulking up. He's been put a year behind. So where he's at right now is where he should have been about a year ago, if that makes sense, because he just put so far behind from his ACL injury. So even though he's like 18, 19 years old, he's still got the body of a 17-year-old, high school senior. So don't expect a whole lot of playing time from Jaden Moore this year, unless maximum he's on some kick returns.
Yeah, like you said, he's really he got set back. Thankfully he had the red shirt, so it doesn't affect him too much. But I don't say his red shirt year went to waste, but in a sense, it kind of did because he had to spend the whole time healing. Um, Before we go on to the big two, last guy we hit on here is old Paxton Kettering. He's a sophomore, comes in 6'4", 200, out of Oregon. Didn't see any game action last year. Maybe with his size, he carves out a role in some red zone opportunities. This is, just to go fade route, high point the ball, come down with it kind of target. But I don't expect to maybe see much out of him just with the overall talent we've accumulated this year. Next up is our boy Qshawn Queso Brown, the
Quishawn
pride
Brown.
of East Forsyth
Q
High School.
336.
That's right. Former three-star, was ranked number 30th in the state of North Carolina. 15 career games played now. He's got 43 receptions, 464 yards, 2 touchdowns. Was our primary punt returner all last year. All ACC honorable mention as a return specialist. This is a really interesting stat to be as young as he is. In 11 of his 15 games, he has 2+ receptions. Very small, but he's he's quick and explosive. He's exactly what you need to be to make up for with his size. Definitely going to be probably our primary, if not the only slot receiver this year for the most part. And I think we can expect another uptick from him in progression, and he'll have probably a pretty solid year with multiple touchdowns, probably 200-300 yards again. I'll throw that one to you guys for. I know
Yeah,
we're all queso believers.
Queso last year, I think, was a bright spot, and a lot of
Yeah, a
those.
pleasant surprise.
There was a lot of plays that were broken, and in past years, Duke really hadn't had a guy that could bust them open or at least get 5 or 6 yards, especially on those shitty ass screen passes that Duke wants to live and die by. But last year there was a lot of times where we'd throw one of those BS screens and Queso would be 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and end up getting 7 or 8 whenever you wouldn't think any of it was possible. I think, like Tyler was saying, definitely gonna be a bright spot at that slot receiver room, especially if we get into a lot of two tight end sets where they can clump up the middle of the field. If you can get those tight ends pretty vertical, clear out the middle, like Q get the ball underneath, a lot of explosive things can happen. And last guy, I know this is
Oh,
this is
time out,
Eli's
time out, time out,
stock.
time out. before we move on from Queso, I just wanted to say that Queso's a guy who really clutched up at times last year. Like one of those, usually with Duke, we're inundated with bad surprises. Queso was a guy who was a good surprise last year. I'll never forget, like he just kind of clutched up at times, like you said, just kind of came out of nowhere, had some really productive plays. Like the stat sheet won't reflect an elite season by any means, but he had his moments where you were kind of like, oh, like shit, like this guy's actually for real. Um, One that comes to mind was last year against State. I was at this game and Murphy hit him on like the sideline for a quick pass. And not only did he like catch it, but he got leveled. Like he got railroaded and he hung on to it on the sideline. So yeah, actually the play was so dirty that they called targeting at first and he held on to it. So that's when I was like, oh shit, this guy's for real. So definitely excited for Queso this year. I will say though, I think 7 has a little bit less aura than number 14. I wish he
And
had stayed with
14 was
14.
dope.
Yeah, 14 was
Yeah.
tough. I wish he had
For a
stayed with that.
receiver, it was tight, man. Because like
Yeah.
usually you'll see like a QB wearing 14, and it's like that's kind of one of the shittier quarterback numbers. Like
Parker
Yeah.
Bean.
after 12, it falls off, and like
Yeah.
14 on a little slot receiver looked badass.
Yeah. I guess he just really looks up to Javon Harvey and wanted to follow in his footsteps.
God, we will not have any Javon Harvey whiffs this year like we
Hey,
did last year as a
spring
pod.
game and Gator Bowl legend, Javon Harvey.
God, he
Nobody,
fooled us.
nobody believed in Javon Harvey more in the preseason than I did.
Yeah, except
And
Chandler and
Chandler.
Yeah.
John Tavis
John
Robertson.
Tavis Robertson and the big 2-5.
Never forget
Hey,
our buddy Chandler last year saying that we had 6 guys in the receiver room who could go for 1,000 yards.
but you
And
know what?
nobody
This
touched a
year
thousand.
we got 6 guys that can maybe go for 250, and we're gonna win some football games. We're setting low expectations. But speaking
Oh,
of in the Big 2-5, big Samir Hagens hanging
yeah.
around last year with the program coming up. Samir has 1,000 yards, a little bit over that in his career, 8 touchdowns. Kind of started as kick and punt return guy, not necessarily his forte. Kind of got him into that slot receiver-ish role and kind of an over the middle guy, and really started to flourish. Had a solid year last year. 3 really impressive games where believe it was he went for over 100 yards in those games. Not many Duke receivers as of late have done that. He could definitely be the number one this year, depending on how things shake out. We're definitely not saying this in any sort of negative connotation, but we'd like Samir to be a more of like a wide receiver 2 role. Not saying he can't handle a 1, but just the way we kind of think the offense should be played out this year. And if things all work out accordingly, you can have Andrew 1, him 2, Queso 3, and really have a good unit. But he might have to step up to that 1 hole, and he's definitely a guy that can do it with a lot of playing time.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. Like you said, ideally we want Anthony and Hagens to be our 1-2 guys, Queso number 3, Barcade number 4. But if and when Anthony goes down, expect Samir to step up and be wide receiver 1. Like we were talking earlier about, like if you look, he had okay, I was wrong. He had 1 game with over 100 yards, but he had some
Oh,
solid production last year. I mean, he had 9 receptions for 139 yards against Miami last year. Of all teams, Miami had a good game against State, had a good game against Georgia Tech, GT Tech.
GT Tech.
GT Tech, shout out Tim. Our buddy Timothy Gonzalez always refers to Virginia Tech as VT Tech and Georgia Tech as GT Tech. So forever, we will
It's,
refer to those as VT Tech and GT Tech, respectively.
One more thing about Tim, real quick. Shout out Chandler Rivers for shouting Tim out at
Yeah,
media days. That was sick
yeah,
as
that was
sick as
awesome.
fuck, bro.
That was awesome.
You're a dog for that.
But as far as Samir Hagens goes, this is the guy who I truly, truly do have some belief and stock in this year. This is a guy who's kind of what we call Duke to the core, Duke faithful. He's like a Jordan Moore type who's played his whole career at Duke University, didn't leave. He's bought into the program, he's bought into that degree. He has a great family. So excited to see what Samir Hagens can do this season. I know that, anybody who's like a true Duke football sicko is aware that drops had been a problem in the past. But I think that we all saw last year that those drops were less of an issue and that he actually really shined out in a few spots. Also, let's not forget, David Feely posted that he like what was that? He had some weightlifting record set in the offseason this year.
Yes,
What
Samir's bulking up.
dude,
And
Indeed.
shout out Mr. Hagens, by the way. What a guy.
Al Hagens, GOAT,
Yeah.
elite Duke parent. We love Al Hagens.
He's probably six deep watching this right about now somewhere.
Hell
Shout
yeah.
out on a beach, man.
Hey,
Shout out Al.
so am I. I was just gonna say that though. I mean, if he could fix the drops, which I think we saw less of last year, that was a promising trajectory, and he's bulked up this year. Imagine what he can do in the slot, catching passes and trucking defenders. That'd be pretty sick. That'd
Yeah,
be
Yeah,
neat.
with his frame too, having him on that weak side of the football field or to the boundary side, and if you've got Queso in the slot there, you can still afford to play Samir outside and work him over the middle because Queso kind of proved last year those wheel routes and like out and ups and things like that were really like in his wheelhouse because he's got a crisp wheel tree. There's no doubt about that. And Samir will definitely be able to flourish if things, go to fruition like that.
yeah. I think the big thing with Samir is just consistency. That's it. Like he's been very boomer bust. Like you go and look at his games. He's never been like with Jordan Moore. You knew Joe Mo was going to give you 6 catches, 80 yards, maybe a touchdown. Samir's either going 3 catches for 150 yards or he's going, over.
4 catches for 18 yards.
Yeah. So like I would just like to see more consistent. And that's just kind of the role he was put into to some degree. He never got a ton of chances. So I'm really interested how he plays out this year. So I guess like overall takeaways for the wide receiver room is just kind of chemistry early on is going to play a big factor into this. You remember the first 2 or 3 games last year, we couldn't catch a cold if our life depended on it. I mean, and some of it was Malik, but there were sometimes Malik just put the ball in the
In their
perfect spot
numbers.
early on
In the
Oh, it was
numbers.
brutal.
and just
That
drops. And I'm not saying
UConn, we were up there wanting
God,
to light ourselves on fire like it was a
yeah,
Vietnam War protest, man. Because like I had never, and like man, like we said, the Malik deserves some of that flack. But if there was one game where I had never seen so many dudes get hit in their fucking hands and chest, it was UConn, man. That ball didn't see nothing but the turf all game.
Yeah,
yeah,
our
and
receivers didn't learn how to catch until Carolina, and even then they weren't really being utilized.
Star
It was just the run
Thomas,
game.
Star
Where
Thomas
were
game.
you? I'll say it. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Where were you for weeks 3 through 5, Star Thomas?
God, put the team on his fucking back, man.
Where
That
were where
Tennessee
were you?
scholarship came from two
Yeah,
weeks of play.
where were you for Miami first half? Jonathan Brewer.
Oh,
I tell you who's not showing up this year. Miami first half Jonathan
Jonathan
Brewer
Brewer.
at all.
dude, I'll never forget being at that game, hungover as shit, sweating my eyeballs out, and watching some of that play, and I was like, wait, Jonathan Brewer's low key in his bag right
Yeah,
now.
it's like what is this?
I was like,
Until he
what is going
wasn't.
on? Oh my God.
It
I
was
mean,
it was
go,
so fun.
until it
Until it
wasn't.
wasn't.
Going up 11 at halftime, I was like,
He
is this
just he
happening?
threw his entire call sheet from the first half in the
All of it.
trash, and
He
then went and
saved
grabbed the old ones. Was like, "Yep, bring these back."
he saved all of his good plays for Miami and pissed them all away in the first half. But you know what? On the note of Jonathan Brewer, I don't hold grudges. I'm willing to give him a second chance. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jonathan Brewer can come up with this year. But
Yes,
this is
but
his
at the
last
same
chance.
yeah, but at the same time, we just dropped over $10 million in 2 years for you to have quarterbacks. If you can't get it done this year, like it's not justifiable
You're
anymore.
gone. Well, luckily we have Nina King, who actually takes football seriously on like past
Nina
80s.
would
Yeah,
can
She won't put
Nina
up with
gonna
that
can
shit.
him.
shout out Nina and President Price for actually giving a shit about football now. But yeah, so that's just kind of where we're at. It's a young room, Samir, and Cooper and Andre Anthony are the only non like sophomore freshmen. We don't have a junior this year at wide receiver. So like it's a
That's
very
good
young
football.
it's a very young room. So a lot of question marks and unproven. The potential is there. And, having a guy like Mensa in is going to help a lot at quarterback. So, but don't be surprised if for the first week or two there's some miscues, maybe a drop or two, just still trying to get everybody figured out. But optimistic, but cautious at the same time about the wide receiver room this year.
I
We're
can't.
ideally hoping it goes like the offensive line thing from last year. You
Please
know,
Yeah,
prove us wrong. Please, God, prove us wrong.
yeah, pretty much. Next up, so we'll we've been doing top fives, top tens. We thought to kind of keep that theme going with wide receivers. We give you guys our top five catches in recent Duke football memory. Um, we felt all three of us kind of agreed that there were two clear cut 1-2s, and then we're gonna each give you guys one more. So Eli, I know the first one holds a lot to you. I'll let you speak on that one, and then Noah, I'll let you have the other one.
Yeah, I mean, how could you? Anybody who's worth their salt as a Duke football fan knows what catch we're about to say. Comes on a cold fall night, 2012. I mean, this is a game when Duke football hadn't made a bowl game in almost 20 years, hadn't won a bowl game in over 40 years. This is a game against our rival down the road, North Carolina State, or the University of
oh,
North Carolina. Oops. Yeah, Jamison Crowder game winning catch against Carolina. I mean, between three guys, hits the ground in the fetal position, hold on to the ball, sends Duke bowling for the first time in almost 20 years. I mean, how could this not be number one? Just for one, the insanity of the catch itself and the ability that took, but also what it meant for the program. I mean, just Jamison Crowder, Carolina catch 2012 number one, undisputed.
Yeah, going back to watch that too. Shout out Crowder because Sean Renfrey should not have made that pass. Like
So
that
Sean Renfrey,
that was a murder ball. Like there's nowhere where
hospital
that
ball
should
for
have been.
sure.
they
Yeah,
threw a
like
fucking duck in there, just let him
yeah,
die.
Little
that
hospital
should not
pass
have been
for
called.
Crowder.
So
Fuck it, Crowder's down there somewhere.
yeah. So yeah, that was a really big moment, special moment for Duke. Speaking of first half of Miami, Noah from
Yeah,
last year.
and like, man, it feels like recency bias to say it, but like when you go back and think about legendary Duke catches, there's really not a ton, especially in our lifetimes, like we've seen on TV or in person. And man, Jordan Moore, Miami, that damn Superman one hand half front flip landing catch. I mean, it was all over social media too. Like, I mean, it was on game days thing, ESPN, of course. It was blown up on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So I mean, you look at that. That's like the one catch. Shut up, Ruby. Sorry, that's my dog. Um, but like that's the one catch for Duke, like in modern age social media that like blew up in the way that like you see other schools like Ryan Williams down at Bama and shit like that kind of go down. So that's definitely up there without a doubt.
Yeah. Like you said, depending on how you look at it, that's probably the greatest catch Duke's ever had. But then when you look in terms of like significance, the Crowder
Not
one in a
much.
different direction would be the other greatest catch. Like it just depends on how you like. They're both 1A, 1B in my mind. Like the
Yeah.
degree of difficulty for the Jordan Moore catch, insane.
Yeah, the catch
Like
probability shit they do or whatever, it had to
yeah,
be low.
had to be in the negatives. Like no chance for that
It's
one.
also just like it's like a bittersweet moment because like damn, that catch was sick. And that was an amazing moment from Jomo. But then it's like, why was it an amazing moment from Jomo? Because Malik Murphy made that throw should have never been made at all. And that's why the catch was so insane because that ball should have never been
But
thrown. But
here's
And
the
like
you could
Noah
fun.
say
said, we
the
were down
same
late,
thing for Crowder.
just launching.
Yeah. Here's the fun thing about Duke football now. 3 years ago, that ball's getting pick sixed, and Jomo's breaking his leg, and
Yep.
but it actually turned into something cool for once.
Yeah.
The catch I'm
Okay.
gonna speak on
Oh.
is throwing it back to. So I spent about 30 minutes earlier just scrolling through old Duke highlights, and boy, gun was in the mouth. Like it was up there. I found the Boston College Duke game, the 7-9 barn burner. I watched Georgia Tech, pummel us a few times. I watched Bronco Mendenhall just annihilate Coach
Ah,
Cut,
ah, ah.
and yeah, and the one I found that I want to talk on is I don't remember this being like such an insane catch, but 2017 Duke Northwestern at Northwestern before they made us play on that dog shit field. Our boy Davis Copenhaver, who got shout out last week, he had like a touchdown one at every 4 catches. This was one of them. DJ throws it, and I completely airmailed it. Like ball should have went out of bounds, should have been incomplete. Somehow, standing on the edge of the end zone already, Davis pulls it in with one hand, just scoops it out of the sky, pins it against his chest, gets both feet down, tiptoes in, gets the touchdown. Just like an absurd play because you're watching that, you're like, oh, that's 10 feet over his head, and then boom, he's just got it for the touchdown. Just an insane play to make for a third string tight end at that time.
Yeah, that Copenhaver, like you said, man, he just not a lot of it's memorable, but when you go back and look at it, like it was sick around he was
Yeah,
on. And this kind of goes the same. And there was really two between this same player, but the one that stood out due to like weather and circumstance, Aaron Young, 2000, and I believe it was 17 or 16, Duke Army Hurricane game.
oh
Only touchdown of the game was a fucking Daniel Jones like deep fade back shoulder pass. I mean, when we were talking like when we're saying rain, I mean you're talking about rains coming off of the steps at Wallace, like dumping out type. I mean it's a downpour.
It's probably the
Looks
last time the steps at Wallace Wade were clean, but in any stretch of the word.
Death Taxes and Eli have a beef with our facilities maintenance not doing pressure washing. It is
Just get some
ridiculous.
Roundup and a power washer, and we're good. God damn.
Just spray the shit off with Dawn, man. Like, come on. And but no, so it's like, yeah, if it can work for oil spills, why can't it work for Wallace Wade? They're both tragic accidents. But I mean, God, now I'm sidetracked as fuck. But anyways, Aaron
Sorry.
Young, Hurricane game. Damn, Dawn kind of goes with hurricanes too. That's crazy. So one handed, like over the shoulder, back shoulder fade, like up in the air kind of motion, just absolutely sick. And like the only other points I think was Arby kicked the field goal and Duke kicked the field goal. It was like 10-3 final. So very cool, and a really great catch.
It's like an Iron Dukes final score. It's funny when like you look at the Iron Dukes from like the 30s and like, oh yeah, undefeated, unscored upon. We scored a total of 28 points this season.
We dogged them
We're
boys.
undefeated. We dogged them. We beat them 7-0.
Sonny Jurgensen, baby.
Got two safeties, 4
Oh
to
my
nothing.
God. Two safeties, 4-0. God damn it. So I don't really have, and this is something that we talked about, Tyler and I, earlier today. Duke football was dog shit from 62 to 2012, with the exception of like three one-off seasons. 89, 94 stick out, and that's about it. There's a lot of lost footage sitting in the archives from those years underneath Wallace Wade that we will never see. And what I was talking about was that there are probably so many great like one-off like
Plays.
fluke plays that just wowed people that we'll never see. Like, yeah, just because Duke was 0-11 in 2003, there's probably still a sick ass catch somewhere in there. So I'd love to see some of that lost footage someday. That put aside, a catch that deserves to be mentioned, regardless of like what it meant, anything like that, was the Wake Forest walk-off in 2024. It wasn't an insane catch by any stretch of the imagination. It wasn't between five guys. It didn't have playoff implications, nothing like that. But just the sheer like WTF factor of it all and like the way it went down was so insane that that play, again, sort of like the Miami game, was just making serious rounds on social media
I
and deserves to be shouted out to some extent.
I remember being vividly pissed in the moment seeing Malik drop back, knowing like we're in field goal range. Like of all times, Manny wants to go for this shit. It's right here, like knowing we can just kick a walk off against Wake, and he just drops back and just boom, like just right in the bucket, touchdown.
And Jomo hit the B button. He hit the spin move on
Yeah,
the defenders going into the end zone.
and real quick, I just want to shout out a few forgotten legends in the Duke wide receiving world: Quay Chambers,
Oh,
Aaron Young, and no one has more stock and Damon Filial Johnson than me and Noah.
Oh,
We're
dude,
still sitting
I'm
on it.
still a Keystone Fuller and Chris Taylor believer, bro. Where were you for a Jonathan Lloyd deep post? Oh,
Scott Bracey, what should have been. and just
God,
never was.
that is the biggest scrub in Duke history, man. He went to JMU and sucked. You know what I mean?
Like
Like, God.
what
Well,
what
that's
should have been like.
So, oh, sorry, continue.
You want to do the mailbag now?
Yeah, I was about to pull that shit up. All right, mailbag time. Again, today we're going over receivers and the secondary. So we put up a question about overall comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, whatever. Uh, first receiver or first question is from our buddy Crimroy, who
Who?
doesn't make us edits anymore. Yeah, who? Which
Vandy
receiver will finally
transfer.
get 1,000 yards this season, and why is it Chase Tyler? Go to hell, Crimroy. The Duke of QP asks Samir Swole predictions. I said it earlier in the group chat, but I'll say it here. That's great. That's great. That's Samir Swole. That's going to be great if he can get the ball in his hands and truck some receivers. But he's a receiver, not a fullback. What is he going to do to give me peace of mind that he can get his hands on the ball and hold on to it and make plays that way? Don't get me wrong. Being strong is fantastic. Love it. I'm not opposed to it at all. But weightlifting records isn't exactly what I'm looking for in the receiver room. But I'm not mad about it. I'll get y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like Samir is probably good for like 700 ish, maybe 600 ish, with about 7 or 8 touchdowns, 20, 30 catches probably. And maybe that's an understatement. I hope it is, but that's kind of where I see it.
Yeah, I mean, numbers wise, I'm not sure what I'd see yet. I'll just say productivity. Like he'll be either wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 numbers wise when it's all said and done. I'm with Noah. I don't see much above 700 to 800 yards, but I can definitely see him getting to that spot. Um, and yeah, catches wise, 20-30 feels like a good safe number.
Yeah. Brian Porras asks, how was the reception from the more tenured media with y'all being in the building for the first media day? And I'd love to hear what y'all have to say.
Okay, before Tyler puts his part in here, which is definitely kind of funny and very Duke old guard, let me just start out by saying just about everybody else was
Loved
really,
it.
really cool. We heard a lot of positives from the moment we checked in. For the people that like when we told them we were the GA scumbags, they were like, "Wow!" Everybody we introduced ourselves to, and they asked like what our pod name was and where they could follow us, and we told them GA Scumbags, and they asked for the story behind it. Reception was unreal. It was very not Duke esque, as I'm sure many of you know. There's still a lot of Duke fans out there that just won't listen to the GA Scumbags podcast because of the name, and
Hashtag Jared's dad.
that is what it is. We're not here to appease any crowd other than ourselves. But reception was awesome. Locked on Wolfpack guy. I like shit talked him. I didn't even know he was there at the media day thing, which I would have done it regardless if I knew. But it was funny because the guy who me and Tyler had really been enjoying his like questions and stuff turned out to be locked on Wolfpack, but he was reporting for all of the ACC at that time. He comes up and's like, "Are you guys the scumbags?" And I'm like, "Oh shit," because this dude's like 6'7".
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
massive.
300 pounds, bulked. I'm like, fuck. Oh, here comes the ass whooping in the ballroom of the Hilton in Uptown. And he's like, dude, that meme was funny last night because it was like the guy trying to fit the block in the circle or whatever. And dude, right in front of us, but he was super cool. But then old Tyler, I had to go out to do some work stuff as I live in Charlotte and had some things to do. So Tyler was there for like an extra couple hours and ran into some folks and has a pretty good story.
Yeah. So speaking of the other side of the media reception, when Noah asked Wesley Williams his question, Noah goes, "Hey, Noah Lunsford, GA scumbags." Well, a fan of the pod, which shout out his show at the College Experience. They're over on X. He messaged us like, "Hey, I want to meet you guys. Before media days is over." So apparently, during that question, he was sitting up closer to the front row in kind of a big group of the media members. When Noah said "GA scumbags," he said, as he put it, several media members just turned, looked, and just went just like that, and gave very discerning looks as if they weren't pleased. So glad we got to make some ruffle some feathers still.
That's what
And
we're
like Noah
about.
said, like a lot of people were extremely receptive. Hell, I sat and accidentally ate lunch with the vice president of media relations for the ACC, and he loved our name.
Yeah, Tyler was at a table with three dudes wearing all suits. I come back in from doing a little outside interview, and I like just walk past him, go sit with JJ and O'Neal, and he comes up. And he's like, "Yeah, that guy's like well, two of those guys were the ESPN, the other's a vice president with the ACC." I was like, "Good Lord." But very cool, Brian, and we're excited to keep networking those people and continue that next year.
Hmm. So other questions. Let's see. Timothy Gonzalez, our buddy Timothy O. Gonzalez, says, I just wanted to thank Noah for telling Chandler Rivers for giving. I just wanted to thank Noah for telling Chandler Rivers for giving a fellow San Antonio Texan a shout.
Yeah, anytime, Tim. That I literally told Tyler that morning that my only goal was, and like you can ask Tyler, I put this hand on Bible. My only goal was to get somebody to tell Tim like shout out
Yeah,
Gonzalez. So Tim, you're our boy, and after talking to those Duke boys, they appreciate what you do on X and stuff as well. So
Yeah,
keep doing what you do, Tim.
I
death,
appreciate y'all for doing
Texas,
that.
death, Texas, and Tim's question just sending this pod off the rails.
He's already 9 comments deep by the time we've got to this segment.
Dude, off the rails, dude. We're so Section 17. We use the word off the rails about 8 times the last two pod episodes.
And it's all been because of Tim.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Brian, Tim.
Oh, will you pull up Will Kuntis's one that wasn't under the post?
Ooh, I missed that one. I
Oh,
don't
let
have
me
it pulled
pull it
up.
up real quick because
Well,
Will.
while you're pulling it up, Noah, um, there's just a couple questions about the secondary, and we'll get to that because we're about to go into the secondary. But Bryant Portland, who is an NC State account cosplaying as a sex offender, says, "Who is your most slept on guy heading into camp? And does Eli ever get tired of using the block button so much when he gets his feelings hurt? I do get tired, but I like to rest in my bed in my apartment where I live in your head rent free. Uh, Slept on guy heading into camp. Dude, it's got to be Samir Higgins. That's the guy I've been preaching about for the last year or so.
I'm gonna go
So
with Deshaun Stone back to
yeah,
back.
Is he
there's a
back?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know
there's a
Stone was back. Fuck.
oh
there's
yeah,
a guy
he's
in the
true
secondary.
junior.
Yeah, there's another guy in the secondary. When we get to the, I'll touch on. Is like I think is going to be a breakout guy this year. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of candidates actually because it's just like such a young. You could pretty much name anybody, and they're going to be like a name to watch or like a breakout name because we don't have any
Yeah,
proven talent coming
everyone's a
back.
name to watch. There's no
Yeah,
standard. Everyone's a name to watch.
Yep. So I got Willie K's here. Big Will Kuchis Wednesday. Duke fans, y'all better follow
Hashtag Wet Willie.
Big Wet Willie. Big Willie, all up in that shit. Um, we're huge fans. But anyways, he says, "GA scumbags. Now the media day is over. I have a question to submit. I'm always late. Okay. What does Duke have to do or continue to do in football to ensure its athletic future in a power conference after 2031 with the
That's a good question.
rumors of Carolina going to the SEC? So, absolutely. I was kind of excited to get into this one a little bit. The whole UNC stuff is such bullshit. They couldn't see all their eyes. They're so full of shit. The same thing is going to happen every year until either the ACC gets disbanded in 2036 or the ACC just prolongs itself forever and like merges with the Big 12. Um, it's just not going to happen. UNC, if Clemson and FSU couldn't just outright buy out and kind of get it done that way, I promise UNC can't. They have had a pretty big decline in financial resources when it comes to their athletic programs. Booster support and things like that have went down, even with the Bill Belichick effect, which I feel like is something a lot of people kind of think the opposite of. Of course, Bill is bringing more money into Carolina football, but he's not bringing more money into Carolina athletics as a whole. And to compete in the SEC and to survive, you have to be good across the board. and UNC would just be an absolute stepping stone, laughing stock. And it's just really not feasible, and what just won't happen in my eyes. And it's smoke, well, just like it was last year, man. And there's going to be smoke like this every year.
Yeah, and it's important to note that the the big year to watch is still 4 years away. Like there's some sort of like 2030 is like it's up for renegotiation, air quotes, but like not it's not terminated. It's still a contract they can just renegotiate in 2030. So if anything was to happen, it's years away to where like anything that comes out now, it's not worth reading into too much unless you're Clemson or Florida State still. And even then, someone has to want you.
Yeah.
As far as like the Duke thing goes, all Duke needs to do is like they don't even have to win, right? Like winning helps. They need to keep investing and showing that they're willing to invest. That's the big thing.
Now,
Is
do you
like,
think Duke is better as it stands right now? Who do you think is better off for an SEC bid, Duke or Carolina?
oh, Carolina
Carolina.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Duke would never be an SEC bid. They just couldn't make it happen. We're a Big Ten bid. If all were to fall apart, right? So, like Tyler was just saying on the other half of that question, what does Duke do if things kind of go south, or they keep investing and things keep going well, but the ACC dissolves? The Big Ten, and that's about, I think, the only reasonable place Duke could go for sure.
Yeah, because Duke to the Big 12 will never happen. Not in the sense of I don't think Duke would do good. It's just the Big 12 and Duke disagree on like so many fundamental university things outside of athletics to where they're never gonna. That's a bridge
Yeah.
they won't cross.
Duke will never be cool enough for the SEC. We'll say that. They will never be cool enough.
And like personally, I don't want Duke in the SEC.
Yeah, I'd rather
Duke,
not go 4-8
Duke,
every year.
Duke could go to the Big Ten, and genuinely right now, because here's the thing with the Big Ten: the Big Ten isn't as dominant as a football conference as people think. The SEC is more balanced. The Big Ten's very top heavy.
Yeah.
Like if you took Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan out of the Big Ten right now, you couldn't name a winner. So like Duke could go into the Big
USC,
Ten, then
baby. The Trojans, the real
the
USC.
real
Duke
USC.
Duke
Hey
is a
man,
solid B tier Big team, Big Ten team with the way the
yeah,
program is sitting right now.
Yep.
like
Like
Duke.
nobody could argue to me that the way programs are right now, and we're not talking fan experience or any of that bullshit. We're talking about on-field product. That the likes of Wisconsin or Michigan State are in better shape than Duke is right now. It's just not true.
Yeah,
So
Duke could go into the Big Ten right now and compete just fine. Not
we're
saying
not
they'd
going to
win the
sell
Big
out any
Ten.
games. We're
Yeah,
not going to start selling out any games or some bullshit, but we're still going to win.
like I don't think you would see a program fall off if Duke jumped to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Um, so like
So
I think the big thing is just the question I'd like to see is what Duke does if say the ACC falls apart and loses Carolina. Say for whatever reason Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson leave. Everybody else in the ACC stays, but those four go. I want to see what Duke does. Like, does Duke stay in an ACC that has like USF and Memphis and Tulane in it, or does Duke say, "Hey, we're getting our shit out of here," and they try to get into the Big Ten then?
we
Like,
have ECU and Campbell.
Yes.
Richmond,
It was always the Camels.
but yeah. So
Um,
I think Duke's in a good spot.
so our friend Bentley Weeks, getting into the secondary questions, asks, where does this secondary room rank among previous Duke secondaries in the past? And then our friend Diego Wallace Wade asks, how far along in this rehab is Terry? It seems like the injury isn't getting much publicity. Will he be ready for the opener? Ooh, are we allowed to answer that question, Tyler?
Yeah, we can answer it vaguely without because I don't want to give out too much to where we lose.
Vaguely, no.
Ready for the opener? That's not happening. In terms of when he's coming back, Duke hopes to have him back before the end of the year. It's important to note that he tore his ACL in January.
Yeah.
So like it's not like the Jaden Moore where, it happened last spring. Like it happened this year still. So he'll be back at some point in time, but it's also worth noting, and we're going to bring this up when we got to him, but he has a red shirt available still. So like if you're Duke, he can play 4 games and still get a probable medical red shirt. play him in 4 games. You bring Terry back for 1 more year. I don't hate the idea of that, especially because if he's not going to come back to the last half of the season anyways, let him sit an extra 2 games. Why
Yeah.
not? To get a full year out of him.
Yeah.
And as far as like deep secondaries, I mean it's up there. Like we had Mark Gilbert and Michael Carter together one time. That was pretty fun when Mark Gilbert could play. Um, hashtag cheetahs. But
We had Ross Cockrell at one time, but that
We
was
had
about it.
Devon Edwards, Cash,
yeah,
Singleton. I mean,
Fuck.
I think
Okay.
I,
there's
Yep. I've
definitely
heard
better
enough.
the
secondaries.
Oh my God.
the 2013 secondary is probably better because it was a lot deeper
Them
for
motherfuckers were
sure.
dogs.
Yeah, this one's up there, but I wouldn't call it the best.
Sorry, Bentley. Our sweet, sweet Bentley, who is definitely bigger than me.
Hashtag shrink expand.
So getting into the secondary, as far as departures go, Noah's favorite, Joshua Pickett, is actually with the Denver Broncos now.
Poor
Uh,
Broncos.
he played 50 games, 101 tackles, 61 punt breakups or pass breakups. God, I'm drunk. And 1 interception. Uh, one of my favorite pod moments ever was when we were doing the spring ball recap, and I said something about Joshua Pickett, and I was like, "Is he back?" And Noah goes, "No, no, 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 no. He's not back."
Never
Just
will
like
be.
let's get that out the way. He is not back. We are
No.
gonna miss his girlfriend at the games, though. I'll say that. Jalen Stinson, speed demon, 62 games played, 284 tackles, 18 pass breakups, and 3 picks.
All 5'2" of them, man.
Yeah, all five
Yeah,
foot two, 3 second 40-yard dashes. We're gonna miss Jalen Stinson.
yeah.
But as far as additions, sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
It's losing those guys will hurt more from losing Stinson kind of hurts, but we've got Stone coming in and a guy you're getting ready to touch on, and losing Pickett just hurts from an experience standpoint. Like, but he doesn't on the field. You won't see a massive drop off of those guys like you will Joe Mo and Eli.
Hey, some big additions though. Top guy, highest priority. I feel like here. Big Caleb Weave.
It's got the
Uh,
the the most extreme case of boy mom we've ever seen in the Duke universe.
Yeah, child like middle school, I think, is when him and Chandler Rivers met. It's what Chandler was saying in media day. So a long time buddy, guy that they competed together. That's really great to have in a corner safety kind of duo. Transferred from Sam Houston State, top 100 returning player in college football. 34 games, 31 starts. Primarily played cornerback, 6 picks. 11 pass breakups. Those are great numbers. Had some tackles for a loss. I had 7 of them. So pretty effective, it seems like, from rovering down and kind of blitzing off the edge, or maybe some delayed stunt blitzes. So that's huge. Duke likes to do a lot of that, as we saw last year. Deshaun Stone was also very effective, kind of in those regards. And Terry Moore as well, blitzing late and getting some tackles for loss, big plays behind the line of scrimmage. So that'll be really interesting, and just excited to see him out on the field, especially if things with Terry's injury are iffy, and things like that.
It's kind of interesting that they put him at after being such a productive cornerback that they put him at safety. But like Tyler said in the doc, you got to wonder if that has something to do with Terry's injury. Surely it does because cornerback is also a position where we don't have a ton of depth. I mean, behind Chandler Rivers, I don't know if I can name many cornerbacks that do currently, especially ones who aren't freshmen. Um, so we'll see
There,
how that
there
shakes
aren't
out.
any. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them are red shirts.
Um, and real quick, before we keep going, shout out, Vangelo Bentley, defensive back coach, is his second year here from the Patriots, and safeties coach Rick Leister, his second year here in Duke. Phenomenal job last year. But yeah, Caleb's going to be like not. It doesn't get the attention it deserves as a pickup because of we brought in that one guy from Tulane, whatever his name was, but Caleb Weaver definitely deserves more attention than he's received. Um, he's going to be a top 100 returning player this year by many outlets.
Yeah, I'm
So it'll
excited.
be, yeah, like it's going to be fun to watch him play, and having that relationship with Chandler is going to help balance out the secondary. And again, like just a really young group. Like we've got uh and we're going to kind of do this as a whole, safeties and cornerbacks. So we're just going to go through like new faces for each one, returning guys for each one. We've got one, two, six freshmen coming in this year in the secondary. Safety Brady Winter. Shout out! Hey, can we get Brady's picture put up on the Duke football site, please? Brady's the only
Please.
guy on the roster that didn't have a picture uploaded.
That's
Um,
so 2007 Duke football.
but Brady comes in. Was listed as a linebacker in high school out of the state of New York. As a senior, he had 53 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 5 PBUs. So I mean, solid stuff. Um, oh my God, Andrew. Apologies in advance. Let's see how we're going to attack this one. Andrew Pelicata. That's what we're going with. Andrew, you know, you and your family, please reach out to us and tell us how to actually say your name. Um, 3-star coming in. He's ranked number 20th in the state of Pennsylvania. He had 40 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble last year. Played a lot of running back in high school, which is interesting, and returned punts. So curious to see how that translates to him in Duke. Um, Safety Mekhi Jones, 3-star from the state of Georgia. All region player. Between his sophomore and junior seasons, he had 143 tackles, 9 PBUs, 3 forced fumbles, an interception. And Eli, I'll let you take the last three.
Yeah, I mean the last three guys with, and again, apologies for mispronouncing these names
Yeah,
if we are. Makai Jones, Malachi Wright, Caleb Lanier, Colby Harmon, all dudes who are from the South, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, all have some relatively decorated high school careers. Guys who I feel like could possibly be impact players in a year or two. All 3 stars coming out of their respective high schools. Getting into the returnees, we've got a few guys. George Wright at safety, who's had 11 career games, 41 snaps. He saw 8 action. He saw eight
oh,
games
that's my bad. Yeah, he played in
eight
eight
games
games
of
last year.
action last season. He'll be a nice veteran piece with playing experience to help guide a relatively inexperienced group. Kenzie Paul's another guy who you guys might recognize, also at safety, who's a redshirt junior. Played in 2 career games, 29 snaps. He played in Canada for 2 years before going to Tennessee for high school. And he was a
Could
number
you
45 at what?
could you imagine the culture shock?
Between
Like
Canada and Tennessee for high school?
and Tennessee of all like states to go from out of Canada.
Yeah, dude. He was a number 45 athlete and 17 prospect in the state that year, which is pretty impressive, actually. Um, and then we'll get into a guy named Kenzie Paul. Noah, I'll let you take Kenzie.
Big Kinsey, definitely a guy that we heard a little bit about at Media Day and through the grapevine. Definitely is having a strong, I guess, had a strong spring. I guess they're hoping for a strong fall. Give me just 1 second. My apologies. Had to go make a phone call for work. Kinsey, redshirt junior. Yeah, played in Canada for 2 years before going to a Tennessee high school. Was the number 45 athlete and the 17th prospect in the state that year. He's safety, but I feel like we could definitely see him in some of those rover roles, or striker, I guess, as Manny Diaz calls it. So definitely
Viper.
Viper. Yeah, I mean, it's got so many different names.
Um, and you know, before we get into some of the heavy hitters, real quick, because I know Noah wants to speak on this next guy.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, Leon Griffin the third, safety, redshirt sophomore, 14 career games already played in. He's got 159 snaps. Last year, he saw action in 10 games. More of a special teams guy. Had 8 tackles, a forced fumble. But it's important to have those special teams guys, especially that's a spot Duke really, yeah. So hopefully he might see an expanded role, but if not, he's got a niche spot on special teams carved out for him, which never hurts. But yeah, I'll let you. I know you're a pretty big fan of this guy.
God, he's going to get to play so much more this year, too. But played a lot last year. Been in 18 games, redshirt sophomore, so going into his third year. The pride of Fairview, the pride of the Reynolds Rockets. Just a huge Deshaun Stone guy. And Deshaun last year, recorded up to 56 tackles, 1 pick, 2 forced fumble, and a pass breakup. Played behind Jalen Stinson, but did get a decent amount of playing time rotationally last year, as well as kind of stepping up in some injured positions. With Stinson gone, you just kind of have to assume Deshaun is primed and ready to take that role now that it's year three, especially with that red shirt and then getting the good experience last year. He's really, really good at covering tight ends and playing the middle of the field. So, really excited. That's something Duke needs help with, I feel like, in the safety room. So, we're amped up for that.
Yeah, and not to mention he's a hard hitter. Like
Yeah.
he'll come in and put somebody on their ass if he needs to. Like you said, he's you would presume he's like stepping into the Stinson role. Um, he flies around. Like I expect him and Caleb Weaver back there are going to be a really fun group to watch. Hold down the back end of the defense. Um, we touched on him earlier. Terry Moore. It's a senior season. We'll see how that plays out. Last year he was second team All ACC. He's a preseason All American. He's the number 10 returning safety and number 49 returning player overall by PFF. In 33 games played, he's got 19 starts, 116 tackles, 10.5 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 8 PBUs. He's returned kicks, and who remembers running back Terry Moore? What a
Ugh,
time that
God
was.
OG.
almighty.
Running back Terry Moore, injured in the bowl game versus Ole Miss, of course. Like I said, no big update on his injury. It's Duke. They're going to play it as close to the vest as they can. We just know that the goal is for him to play at some point in time this season. When your guess is as good as ours. Pick a week. I'll let you guys, if you want to talk about either you have thoughts on Terry or kind of maybe the idea of redshirting him, where you guys stand on anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, from kind of, what you heard at Media Day, but also, you can't take everything you hear too seriously, I feel like, because unless you're a trainer, the head coach, or the player yourself, those numbers and things that get thrown out are probably a little skewed. So that's definitely one thing I want to put out there. So, Terry shows up there week one, just ready to fucking go. Why not? If he shows up week 12 ready to go, why not? I think he's too talented to get a red shirt. I think that's just completely out the window. He's going to get drafted, even if he only plays 3 or 4 games this year. So I don't think that idea is feasible. I think he loves Duke, but not that much, and I don't blame him one bit. He's been here 4 years already, no red shirt. Been through the ringer at the beginning of his career and kind of seeing the higher ups of it now. So this is a make or break season of it for sure.
I think it's one of those things where it's like if we're getting into late in the season, like the last 3, 4 games, and some of our guys in the secondary have gone down and we need some help in the secondary, bring them back and let them use that red shirt. But I think it's just like if we're doing fine enough without him and we're good, let him red shirt. Don't play him too much because like basically like if he can come back and we need him, great, let's use him. If not and we don't need him, let him rest. We'll just kind of see how it goes.
Yeah, and like Noah said, you don't want to take everything as gospel year for media days. That's why we don't want to give you guys the exact date or anything like that. But it is worth mentioning that last year we thought we thought Quez sprained his ankle, and then he didn't play for 10 games last year. So like you don't know with Duke, and they put out the new availability report mandates. I fully expect Duke's entire roster to just be questionable every week. Like that's just the smart way to play that. Um, and real quick, we hit on a few more guys before we get to the big one. Um, Kyron Condell comes back, redshirt freshman, 1 snap played. Former 3-star recruit again, number 48 cornerback in his class, number 44 player out of California. He is 6'2". If you watched us last year, me and Noah, we were tired of smaller DBs, so that gets us excited. I'll let you guys touch on this. I know Noah, we were big on this guy last year too.
Yeah, Musa Kane coming back, and as Eli was kind of stating earlier, the cornerback position doesn't have a ton of depth, but this is a guy you'll definitely see in there. 3-star recruit, number 12 player in New Jersey. Saw him in 8 games. He's a big physical guy. I definitely think we'll see a more vamped up role this year. And with Chandler Rivers being out there, that ball's not going to go that way too much. So he should get plenty of chances to, show out and show up.
Yeah, outside of Musa, again, Musa is a guy who I've gotten to speak to personally. He's a good dude. Looking for him to get on the field and get healthy and produce a little bit. I know he's a guy who's been itching to get back on the field. Um, Outside of him, we got a few other young guys, real young guys. Landon Callahan, Vontae Floyd, Kamari Robinson, redshirt freshman, sophomore, and redshirt sophomore respectively. Landon Callahan was a former three-star and number 20 pick out of the state of North Carolina. He's only played 5 games and 24 snaps. Vontae Floyd, not a ton to write home about. 11 games last year, so he played the majority of our games. We expected him to have a bigger role. Um, but much like Kamari Robinson, there's a big potential breakout season shadowing Chandler Rivers. With Chandler Rivers being as dominant as he is, there's a big opportunity for someone to fill that QB or CB2 spot. So it could be any one of these guys. We don't know. And
Uh,
last but not least,
well, hold before we get to Chandler.
sorry.
So,
God,
God fucking
stupid,
idiot.
stupid, stupid.
Stupid.
ah,
So, Kamari Robinson's my pick for to have a huge year this year.
Him boys
Um,
Swiss cheese against Wake last
like
year.
if he's my pick to have a really good year.
not as
Um,
bad as
inside
Joshua
return,
Pickett against
yeah,
Virginia Tech getting dribbled like a basketball. That was insane. No, it was Wake Tech. It was Wake
whoa,
Forest.
Wake Tech,
Dude, Wake
Joshua
Forest
Pickett.
was dotting us up, dude.
God, Pickett
yeah,
got dribbled by the Wake Forest receivers last year.
It's the same thing, really. Just a
yeah.
lot of money difference.
They'd both dribble Duke.
But yeah, Kamari Robinson's my pick. There's a lot of internal stuff about him that's really positive on the year. Um, I think he's due a good year. I think he'll be the guy that breaks out and kind of asserts himself alongside Musa Kane into that CB2 spot. But yeah, I'll let you touch on this last guy. Kind of a fluky guy. He's not gonna have a good year, but you can talk on him for a minute.
Chandler Rivers. Chandler Rivers is a dude who's a senior projected first round draft pick, All American. He's just been a dog in the secondary for Duke his whole career. Received All American accolades last season, and Pro Football Focus has him as a number 5 returning cornerback and number 33 player nationally. That means in all of college football, he's number 33. That's insane. He's a candidate for the All-State AFCA and Good Works team and All-State Worf. Tyler, help me out here.
Dude,
What is,
nobody puts
what is,
more guys on the All-State team than Duke does.
Right?
oh yeah,
We volunteer hard.
And making differences in
All-State
communities.
AFCA and the All-State Werfel Trophy.
Whatever. 39 games, 32 starts, 164 tackles, 12.5 tackles for loss, 5 picks, 21 pass breakups, and 1 blocked kick. He is considered undersized. However, he's one of the scrappiest, quickest, and fastest moving defensive backs in the country. I mean, he wouldn't be a Duke defensive back if he wasn't considered undersized. We'll just say that.
I hate how true that is.
Period.
But yeah, he speaks for himself at this point. He's going to be a first round pick. You know, teams still throw at him for whatever reason. I guess they still think they can pick on him because he's undersized. Also, I forgot to type this in. Owner of Florida State University, by the way. Death, taxes, and Chandler Rivers pick sixes against the Seminoles.
Mm.
But yeah,
He's your
he's. I
daddy.
mean, it just and an all around great guy. Like you said, he's up for 2 different player man of the year award type things. Just exactly what you look for. He's going to be a great leader. He's vocal. He has fun out there. He enjoys what he does. I can't believe he didn't go to A&M with Mike Elko, which speaks to himself and his character. He values the Duke degree. And shout out Mr. and Mrs. Rivers again. Duke has some of the best parents in the world. Just absolute great people.
Yeah, shout out Con Knippel's mom, Cooper Flagg's mom, Tyrese Proctor's mom, just the greatest Duke mom. Oh, sorry, we're not talking about
Mickey
basketball.
Krzyzewski.
Oh my God. The basketball thing just reminded me. We didn't touch on this earlier about media day.
Oh
On the
God.
opening day, and like God, if you hear this, just know you don't want to see me next year. And if you do, and you've got a problem with what I'm about to say, you can come say it to my face. You are the biggest bunch of spineless losers I've ever heard in my life. Asking about basketball conference expansion and expanding the NCAA tournament and not the college football playoff. Talking about March, talking about storming courts and March Madness. Like, I literally hope there are hundreds of nails in your tires and that you run out of toothpaste and that you're out of shampoo and just that your card gets declined. Like I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
Who was doing that? Do you know anybody by
Uh,
name or network?
Dude,
well,
I
just like
wish.
different. There was probably 10 questions.
Yeah, I mean, you
Uh,
had people from like an Athlon Sports up there asking about it. Like, supposed to be some reputable big name brand, sports thing, media conglomerate, and they're out there talking basketball at a football conference. Come back for Hoops Media Days and ask about it.
What a bunch of
yeah, like
losers.
Fucking,
just
uh, you
so
thought
Duke
Duke
fan.
fans were bad.
Yeah,
It runs in the ACC.
yeah. Duke fans. Apparently, we're not the only ones that have that issue. It's a conference wide thing. Yeah, like within like the first 3 questions of like Jim Phillips's presser, they're all about like, oh, the basketball schedule or the basketball. It's like Noah literally
He
looked at me like 3 minutes in and goes, "Isn't this football media day?"
he should have just been like come back in October or whatever, like whenever they
That
start.
would have been funny. I I would have applauded Jim Phillips for that, and I'd never applaud Jim
I would have
Phillips.
done unspeakable things for Jim Phillips at that moment.
We got dirt low nasty for Jim Phillips.
Jeez. But yeah, so that's like the secondary. It's the first like the starting group can compete with like anyone in the ACC like talent wise. After that, it kind of turns into the wide receiver room. Super young,
Question marks.
a lot of question marks just all over the place. Potential, absolutely, but like Duke's 1 or 2 injuries in the secondary away from like oh shit kind of territory right now. And again, like that's not saying we don't think these young guys can step up. We don't know.
Yeah, just a bunch of question marks. A question mark is not an X. It is simply a question mark.
Mhm.
Thankfully, there's no question marks next week. Everything next week's going to be cut and dry to talk about.
Cut and dry positive. Special
Yeah,
teams, baby.
special
Cut and
teams,
dry
running
negative,
back,
actually.
quarterbacks. Duke has to start. We know who the starting quarterback is at least.
Obviously, Grayson Loftus.
Is
Yeah,
Riley
what's
Leonard still here?
God? I love pissing off the Facebook people.
Dude, I'm probably gonna wear my Malik jersey at some point this season because
You have
Malik.
to.
Malik was not the most elite Duke quarterback of all time. But goddamn, if I can't make some people make stink faces at me next year, that'd be great.
That's the thing. He might not have been one of the best, but
You don't
he wasn't worse than many of them that have been
you
around
don't
forever.
Yeah.
accidentally like set all the records he just broke by
Yeah, I
being
mean
total shit.
you could throw guys like Sonny, Ace, and Thad and them guys up there, but I mean there ain't many, maybe about five all time better than Malik at Duke.
Yeah,
So
he's definitely
that made
top
him
10. That's not saying much, but he's definitely top 10.
yet again in our own right. It's pretty.
Um,
It's not
yeah.
pretty, but it's Duke.
Yeah, it ain't much, but it's Duke football. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on in this episode?
Just
Nah.
next week we'll hit running backs, quarterbacks, and special teams, and then we'll take a week off and then get ready for our season preview episode and then the Elon episode. Then we're there.
I mean, we're really here, aren't
It's
we?
here. Like yeah,
It's
it's
here. I feel like just yesterday I was going on Google and looking up how many days until August 28th, and it was like 200. I can't believe we're really here.
just yesterday I was only on page 1 of my Elon manifesto.
Tyler, little does everybody know that like behind Tyler right now is a 300 stack page of this fucking scribbled Elon manifesto.
That's
It
gonna be
looks like
read out loud on CNN after week one.
I'm not that player from Memphis that like leaked the game script to the who was it UTSA.
yeah, that shit's so crazy.
Well,
But
it's
yeah,
been another solid episode, fellas. Thanks for tuning in. If you did, if you made it this far, I'm sorry. Um,
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks Tim and
The only
Bentley.
guy still here.
That's
Tim,
about
if
it.
you hear this, leave a comment.
Yeah. Well, he's been doing that. By this point, he's left
Oh, yeah.
11. Tim live tweets our pod
Algorithm
episodes. It's
boosters.
amazing.
Algorithm booster, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tim algorithm booster Gonzalez.
Put him
just
on
make sure you're
payroll.
following us everywhere. That's the big thing because we're
Yeah, we're at GA
content.
Scumbags on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere.
No one knows it, but we do have a Spotify.
We do have a Spotify. Please, God, listen to us there and give us a follow. That's actually the only way I listen to us. I listen to us in the car on Spotify.
Eli's one of the 13 views each
Yeah.
week.
One of the 6.
6. Ouch.
6. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week. DDMF.
Scum.